Hello students, we are discussing the chapter solutions in chemistry. We have already discussed how we get the solutions. We need solute and solvent to form a solution, and then we also have discussed what is the solubility, what is supersaturated and saturated solution. Today we are going to discuss what are the factors that affect the solubility of a solute in a solvent. So we will discuss factors affecting solubility. The first factor that we are going to discuss is nature of solute and solvent. Now, as we have discussed that solute and solvent combine together to form solution. So, what is the nature of the solute and solvent? That determines how far the solute is soluble in a solvent. By nature, what I mean is, see, if the solute as well as solvent are polar, then they are easily soluble. So, if they are chemically similar, then their solubility is more, and if they are chemically dissimilar, then their solubility is less. So if both of them are polar, then they are easily soluble. Similarly, if both the solute as well as solvent are non-polar, then also they are easily soluble into each other. So, say for example, NaCl. If we have to dissolve NaCl in water, then what happens is, see, both are polar. NaCl is a polar compound. H2O, you are aware that it's a polar compound. Therefore, this easily dissolves into this. What happens is, when you dissolve NaCl into H2O, there are different interactions. See, there are hydrogen bonding between H2O molecules. Similarly, there are ion-ion interactions. What are the ions in this? Na plus and Cl minus. So these ion-ion interactions are also there. Similarly, there is an interaction between these ions and this dipole, water dipole. So ion dipole interaction between Na plus, Cl minus and water. All these three interactions are comparable. Due to this reason, NaCl is easily soluble in water. So, since they are like, NaCl is a polar compound, H2O is a polar solvent, therefore they are easily soluble into each other. Similarly, if suppose we take a non-polar solute, say for example cholesterol, this is a non-polar compound, and you take another non-polar compound, that is benzene. So since both of them are non-polar, they are easily soluble into each other. They are soluble. Okay. Since they are of similar chemically, they are similar. So therefore they dissolve in each other easily. Similarly, if we dissolve, say, sugar into water, what happens is, there is a formation of hydrogen bonds between sugar molecules and water molecules. Due to the formation of the intermolecular hydrogen bonds between sugar and water, they dissolve into each other. So intermolecular hydrogen bond, bonding. Due to this intermolecular hydrogen bondings, sugar is soluble in water. So from here we can conclude that like dissolves in like. So polar solute, polar solvent, they are easily soluble. Non-polar solute, non-polar solvent, they are also easily soluble into each other. But if solute, for example, is polar, whereas solvent is non-polar, then the solubility will not be there. Okay, so this is the first factor that we have discussed, nature of the solute and solvent. And factor that we are going to consider is temperature. See, as regards temperature, we will differentiate between the solution of the solids in liquids and solution of the gases in liquids. So when it comes to the solution of the solid solute into the liquid solvent, what is observed in many cases is, if the addition of a solute or dissolution of a solute into the solvent is endothermic, I am sure you understand the term endothermic. Endothermic is a process in which heat is absorbed. So if the process is endothermic, then as temperature increases, solubility also increases. Solubility also increases. An example of this is dissolution of KCl into water. Dissolution of KCl into water is an endothermic process. So if the temperature increases, the solubility of KCl in water also increases. Similarly, if the addition of solute and solvent is exothermic, exothermic is the process in which heat is evolved or given out. So if the process is exothermic, then as temperature increases, solubility decreases. Example of this is addition of Li2SO4H2O in water. This process is exothermic. So as the temperature increases, the solubility of this compound in water decreases. See, I repeat this again. If the formation of solution is endothermic, then as the temperature increases, solubility also increases. Whereas if the formation of solution is exothermic, then as the temperature increases, the solubility decreases. The example is given here on the board. But I must state this clearly, that there is no direct correlation between exothermicity, endothermicity and the solubility. What I mean by this is, though this has been observed in many processes, but it is not observed in all the processes. That means, अगर हमें लगता है कि कोई प्रोसेस एंडोथर्मिक है, तो जरूरी नहीं है कि टेम्परेचर बढ़ाने पर सॉल्युबिलिटी बढ़ेगी, और अगर कोई प्रोसेस एक्सोथर्मिक है तो जरूरी नहीं कि उस प्रोसेस में, ऐसे सारे प्रोसेसेस में हम लोग टेम्परेचर बढ़ाएंगे तो सॉल्युबिलिटी डिक्रीज हो जाएगी. सो देयर इज नो डायरेक्ट कोरिलेशन बिटवीन exothermicity, endothermicity and solubility. I would like to give an example. So dissolution of CaCl2 in water. This is an endothermic process. And dissolution of ammonium nitrate in water. This is exothermic process. So the solubilities in both the cases should have been different. But what has been observed is, as the temperature increases, solubility increases in both the cases. So there is no direct correlation as such between exothermicity, endothermicity and solubility. I'll just tell you about some ionic compounds. It has been observed that in case of NaCl, KCl, NaBr, temperature does not affect much the solubility of these compounds in water. So the solubility of these compounds in water, in case of this, there is no much effect, there is negligible effect of temperature on solubility. So as the temperature increases, there is not much change in the solubility of these compounds in water. Whereas in case of compounds like sodium nitrate, potassium nitrate, KBr, potassium bromide, in these cases the effect of temperature on the solubility is appreciable. So there is appreciable effect, appreciable change in solubility with temperature. Whereas in case of compounds like Na2SO4, sodium sulfate, as the temperature increases, the solubility in fact decreases. Solubility decreases. So these are some things which are observed in case of these ionic compounds. Now we have discussed this in case of the dissolution of solid solids into liquid solvents. Now what happens in case of gas? See, gases behave differently when it comes to the effect of temperature on the solubility. Now what happens is, when a gas is dissolved in a liquid, say water, the gas molecules in the solution, they condense, they undergo condensation. Now this process of condensation is exothermic. So heat is given out. Therefore, as temperature increases, solubility decreases. So as the temperature increases, solubility undergoes a decrease. Now this is very, very important. Now with the say for example, there is some river and there are industries adjacent to that. Now sometimes what happens is, industries behave irresponsibly and they do not treat the effluent properly, and the water which is at a higher temperature just released into the stream. Now what happens due to this is, the temperature of the water increases. Now due to the increase in the temperature, the solubility of oxygen in the water decreases, which causes very adverse impact on the aquatic animals like fishes and other aquatic animals which are present there. So this may be disastrous for the aquatic life there. This is how we have to understand the effect of temperature on the solubility. The third and very important factor is pressure. Again, let us try to understand it in case of the solution of the solids and liquids in liquids and the solution of the gases in liquids. See, solids and liquids are generally incompressible. Their compressibility is very less. They are incompressible. Due to this, pressure does not have any significant effect in case of solids and liquids. But it is a very significant factor in case of gases. To understand this thing, see, as the pressure increases, as pressure of gas above solution, the solution increases, solubility also increases. See, what we will do is, this is a solvent. We want to dissolve this gas. See, this is the gas, suppose. This is the gas. We want to dissolve it into this solvent. what we will do is we will increase the pressure. Maybe say suppose this is a piston. We will increase the pressure. Due to this, these gas molecules will get dissolved into the solvent. Now, if the pressure increases, the solubility increases. If the pressure decreases, solubility decreases. Now, there is a quantitative relation also for the solubility of a gas in a liquid, that is given by one law called as Henry's law. Let us understand Henry's law. Henry's law. What Henry's law gives? It gives a quantitative relation between what and what? Between the pressure of the gas above the solution and solubility. This is a quantitative relationship between these two. What it says, the solubility of a gas in a liquid solvent is directly proportional to the pressure. It is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas above the solution. So if the pressure increases, solubility also increases. Now I'll replace this proportionality sign with an equality sign. So solubility is equal to some constant, Henry's law constant, into P. So what is this S? S is the solubility, and we measure this in moles per liter. Moles per liter is the unit of concentration. You are very well aware of this. And then P is what? It is the pressure of the gas. Which gas? Which is present above the solution. And what is this KH? Henry's law constant. Okay. So this is how we have got a Henry's law. Now remember, Henry's law is applicable in case of the solubility of the gases in liquid solvents. There are some exceptions to this. What are the exceptions? Say suppose the gas that is being compressed, if that reacts with the liquid solvent, then the results that we get will be totally different from what is expected from the Henry's law. So there is this exception. Exception is there in case of gases like ammonia, NH3 and CO2. What happens is these gases react with water. So CO2 reacts with water to form H2CO3. So therefore, now the solubility will be more than that is predicted by the Henry's law. Same thing with ammonia. Ammonia also is soluble in water. So therefore, the solubility of this in water will be more than what is predicted by Henry's law. Now if you draw a graph between S and P, what do you get is a straight line, because there is a direct relationship between these two. I hope you have understood the topic so far. If any doubt is there, then you can always put it in the comment, or you can message me directly on my personal number. I'll rectify, I will solve your doubts, and also for the benefit of others, you please share my videos so that all the topics are nicely understood by you for your board exams as well as your competitive exams. Thank you very much.